What's going on, Antra? This is day 53 of the 90-day challenge, and I wanted to bring the camera over here and show you what I was talking about from yesterday. I split this lawn in half, so right where my hand is, right here, you're going to find that your left side is darker than the right. And I'd actually applied both sides after the fact. What I wanted to do was stand up on this rock wall that's behind the camera and take a picture to show the results of what iron can do to make the lawn green and compared to the untreated side on the right. But since then I've actually applied the whole thing. However, the right side got half the rate that it was supposed to. That's on me. I'll come back later and fix it. So I wanted to practice being vulnerable for the sake of, hey, being human. Briefly. Anyhow, for a topic today, I was going to talk about the different types of grasses you can choose for your lawn. I am not familiar with warm season grasses as far as actually using it firsthand, but what I am familiar with is cool season grasses. So if you were to split the United States in half, pretty much the north side is going to do the cool season and the bottom half is the warm season, and you'll have what's called a transition zone in the middle, which you deal with both depending on the time of the year. But like I said, the top half of the United States is cool season, and that's what I know. And there's a few different types of grasses that you can choose from that are applicable to your situation with the lawn that you want. So there it comes down to three different grass families. One is Bluegrass family, the other is ryegrass, and the third is the fescue class. So I'm going to want to start with the fescue class because that one actually splits to two separate sides. One side is the fine fescue side, and fine fescue is great for shaded areas. Now granted, all grass needs sun to a certain extent. However, fine fescue requires much less amount of time during the day for sunlight for it to go through the photosynthesis, which is needed for all grasses. So you can get away with about 4 hours a day in comparison to, say, tall fescue, which is what I'm standing on right now. Tall fescue needs about 8 hours, and just essentially what it requires, like I said, to go through that photosynthesis process. So that's what's great about fine fescue. The things that I don't personally like about it is it's not a very good looking grass. It's thin, it's kind of flimsy, and it doesn't really hold up well to traffic. However, tall fescue does a really good job holding up to traffic. So if you got kids and pets and just simply a lot of movement going on around on top of the grass, it can really it can really take a beating. And it's, like I mentioned, it's also drought resistant. So it can go for a much longer period of time without requiring irrigation compared to many others. So if you were to compare that to ryegrasses are really thirsty. Perennial ryegrass will be a great choice though if you want quick establishment and a very lush green lawn. The other side of it is annual ryegrass, which is a cheap priced option if you're to go to the store, and this is really getting phased out because people are kind of catching on to it, because on the bag it'll say rapid growth, looks really green, which it is, but hence the name annual. It actually will last for about 2 years and then just end its life cycle. So unless you're living in a rental with a lease that says you have to keep up on the landscaping, you can put that in when your lease ends and you plan on leaving. Well, just throwing that out there. Did not hear that one from me. That's exclusively for Entra. The third one is the Bluegrass family, and most notably is Kentucky Bluegrass. I'd love to grow it here, but unfortunately the winter time and just simply cool times, such as during the night, it doesn't withstand with it well. So it's more for the Midwest, anywhere farther south from me, so Southern Oregon, California, but up here and then along the edge of Canada, most likely, it just does not do well with it. People will argue with me, but I would not advise it to a customer to try it because it's a tough one. Nonetheless, The other one, you know, I'll mention it as well, even though I talked about it, was annual bluegrass, which is essentially a weed, but it grows so well and goes under the same cultural practices as any other type of grass. It'll survive just about anything. It will have its downfalls, but it's just a funny grass that it reproduces so much and so fast that it just essentially will take over and fill in the void when the other plant, the previous plant, dies. And there's a lot that goes into that grass, and there's so much studying that goes into it, but I wanted to keep that as simple as possible. So, going with the theme here, talking about my niche, figured I'd share that with you, and we'll see you tomorrow on day 54. Thank you.